The moment you enter the Shadow Realm, you're presented with a broad landscape just begging to be explored. Due to the disconnected nature of Shadow of the Erdtree, I'm going to treat it as if it's its own separate game, and use terms such as early, mid, and late game. You are very obviously directed to a giant castle on a hill, which is the first legacy dungeon, which appears to increase in size and scale the closer you get, but we're going to take the side path for now. There's so much to explore even before this first legacy dungeon, so let's take this side path and see what's up here. This is footage of the first character I went through the DLC with. It was a Faith Arcane Beast and Frenzy Incantation user. Once I heard that there were beast claws in the game, I absolutely had to use this character first. Raptor Talons and Stone of Gurranq were my go-tos for most of the base game. These bats were really good practice for my free aim of the stone throws, as I had gotten a bit rusty, but man is this spell good. Some people may not like the horse combat in Elden Ring, but personally I love it, and I think it never gets old, especially things like this. Looks like I sent that one to the Shadow Realm. Even after finding new weapons and equipment, Stone of Gurranq was definitely my go-to. Just check out how good this is. Paintings make a return, so it looks like it's time for some sightseeing. I wonder if I can get there from here. Maybe if I just go around the side, and yeah, looks like I can drop down here. Once we decide to check it out, we can move on to Belorat Tower Settlement. Overall, fantastic legacy dungeon. Love the music, love the layout, love how many secrets there are, just all around great place. I'd say Belorat feels like a mixture between Leyndell and Stormveil. Belorat is legitimately amazing, and the Lion Dancer boss is one of my favorites in the expansion. It's even got a well leading to a sewer system. But enough of Belorat for now, let's deal with the Wicker Man. These monstrosities are what most people refer to as a Wicker Man. They're one of the first things you'll ever encounter in the Shadow Realm, and they can be quite intimidating at first. I say at first, but that's just because they can hit you from very, very far away. They have long range, close range. They will aggro to you from very, very far away as well. But once you get up close and personal, you'll realize their stomping fire attacks are quite easy to avoid. Many people consider these fights to be tedious, but I disagree, and I find it very fun to actually learn the process of how to defeat them efficiently. This footage here is from the first couple hours after release, and this is just me beating my head against this thing until I'm able to take it down. As you can see here, I'm mainly focusing on using charged attacks and jumping heavies because I'm trying to stance break the thing. I've never fought this on horseback before, so if anyone has, let me know if they find it more or less tedious. Although it's sped up, you can still tell that the fight is super sloppy and I barely have any idea what I'm doing. So you've just got to keep attacking and eventually the thing will fall. Okay, finally, got the stagger. Now just time to maximize some damage and get the riposte. Unfortunately, one critical isn't enough to defeat him now, so we're gonna have to do it all over again. This is the single only time I've ever survived one of these guys' grab attacks. I used to think the grab was a bit of BS, but now that I've actually been grabbed a handful of times, you can actually see the fingers from the hand extend out and they can really grab you way, way under him. The reason I'm including the entire clip is to compare and contrast it with the next clip, which is me fighting the same Wickerman on New Game Plus 1 on a different character, and watch how differently it goes. Okay, finally, got him. Now, time to increase my rune gain, and 14k. Now watch how quickly this goes in comparison. I won't even speed any of it up. Overall, I like fighting these guys. They can be a tiny bit tedious if you don't optimize how to beat them, but they can be taken out super quick as you see here, in less than a couple of minutes, even on New Game Plus with weaker builds, as long as you know how to fight them. It's possible to get a ton of extra damage on these guys when they fall down. They're down for easily a good 30 seconds to a minute. I've never timed it, but it's a long time. Here's another trick you can do after taking the critical hit. Once you finally make it to the pillar on the hill there, you can take an elevator up and go to one of the best vantage points in the entire expansion. Not only is the scenery amazing, but this place also acts as somewhat of a bird's eye telescope from the base game. Although there's not much here, I really love this view because it really gives you a sense of, wow, I've come so far, and ooh, what's that? I want to go there. You can see nearly the entire map from here. Well, except the many, many layers, but we'll get to that. If you go to the cliff at the bottom of the pillar, you can even get a very good view of the lower layers and things you can't see from the top, such as what looks like possibly a giant dead dragon off in the distance, and some oddly clear tree roots. Surely there's no way we can get down there, right? Explore enough, and eventually you will stumble upon one of the most beautiful areas in the entire game, the Cerulean Coast. Let's leave this place for a bit later. Name jokes aside, I quite like this fight actually. My only gripes with it overall is no dialogue or cutscene. This time around, I'm going to be showcasing the fight with my mage character instead, because this fight with my beast character and the raptor talents was just way too easy. I didn't get to use the deflecting hard tier my first time around, so this time I'm going for a deflect build. And no better fight to show it off than this. My overall strategy here is to use the Helfin Steeple until I get the Frostbite and Stagger, then switch to the Royal Greatsword to finish her off. Nice, got the Stagger, use the Astral War, take the critical. Let's go. Okay, Frostbite, phase 2. Oh, Stagger, Royal Greatsword. This weapon is great to switch to for phase 2. It has much higher damage reduction when blocking. Using the deflecting hard tier for this fight really does make it feel similar to a Sekiro fight, which is really fun. I just, again, am disappointed there's no dialogue or cutscene to go along with this. Next, on to what I call the mid-game to complete some exploration. From here, you get a new vantage point of the land and can see the shadow tree much closer. We can now start to see it's got black chunks of something falling from its branches, and the concealed tower is slowly getting further and further away. Next, let's talk about the side dungeons, which I really like, in fact, with the one exception being these damn catacomb mage guys. These guys can really mess you up if they catch you off guard. Like here, I thought I got rid of him, but then he snipes me from around the corner. I just wish we could get these spells. I really like how the devs were able to fit Deathblight into these dungeons and actually make it feel fair. I just feel like more could have been done here. I really love the catacombs in this game, not only in Shadow of the Erdtree, but also in the base game. They really give you a feeling of being in the Shadow Temple from Ocarina of Time, especially with these new spike traps. These dungeons are chock full of secrets and some of the best equipment in the game. At this point in my first playthrough, I had defeated the Lion Dancer and obtained the Beast Claws. So I was starting to go full aggro against some of these bosses, even got the turtle shell on my back for extra stamina regen and everything. Oh, that's a grab? Oh, he heals from that? Oh no. Give me my 500,000 runes back. Get used to carrying this much around, by the way. At first, I really liked Savage Claws, but over time, I grew to fall in love with Raging Beast. This is basically Blind Spot for Beast Claws with more range that can be used to get away. Yeah, it needed to be nerfed. When you start to duck under and jump over things intentionally, it feels so good. I was really hoping the Beast Claws would be something similar to the Beast mode from Bloodborne, and it's pretty damn close. Oh, not again. Seriously? Use Raging Beast to get away. It's slightly worse now, but still has so much utility. I really like what they went for with the jails. It's sort of a mix between a cave and a catacomb, but leaning more towards the creepy. I found this nice shortcut in the jail. You gotta get it just right. I absolutely love that they left these ladders all around this area because I used to run up and down them in the base game. So some people might not know that you can do this. I love that they made this guy a boss. I'm not exactly sure how the invisibility gimmick works, so if someone knows who's the real one... Oh, he does damage. Oh, you're the real one. You're the real one. Oh, I do damage too. This should be fun. Oh, that's some damage. He can block? I loved this fight as a mirror match. I got here after clearing the entire dungeon, so I had barely any healing, and we both did a ton of damage to each other, so it went by very quick. How the hell did I survive that? Almost got him. I can do that too, but who's the real one now, bitch? These golem guys are relentless. This one must have been pissed that I killed his little slime friend. I actually like fighting these guys, but this one made me laugh. On your adventures, you'll eventually run across this shack, which gives you a really good view of the lower part of the world. You're on the other side of the pillar now, and you can get a really good look at those tree roots or whatever those are down there. Let's go back and check out the Cerulean coast. Is that a dragon? It really is. Holy crap. Damn, that thing's huge. Oh, is it impaled with something? Oh my god. Finger Ruins of Rhea. Oh god, what am I even looking at? Fingers? To absolutely nobody's surprise, the dragons are reused in Shadow of the Erdtree. I don't really see it as much of a problem though. I really like the dragon formula they created for this game, as long as it's got something to make it stand out and be unique. Which I really think Shadow of the Erdtree delivered on multiple fronts. The Ghost Flame dragons are varied just enough to be their own unique encounter. They have their own weaknesses, they cause frostbite, but they're different from Borealis. And there may be more than one, but they generally put them in unique situations, such as this one here, where there's tons of Mesmer soldiers fighting him. Which turns the fight into a bit of a hit and run until you can slowly pick off all the Mesmer soldiers. Or you can just let them take aggro and chip away at the dragon from range, but they don't do much damage. My only issue with this fight in particular is that the Mesmer soldiers aggro to you way too quickly. Their priority is fighting the dragon until you come within 10 feet of them, then they all turn to you. I really can't emphasize enough how much work these rocks did in my first playthrough. As you can see, the Mesmer soldiers will literally be glued to you unless the dragon hits them. Other than that, fun fight, unique encounter, it took some strategy. It really is an endurance battle. switch out my talismans, get some regen going, chip away. Finally, they're all gone. Now to just deal with the dragon. I really thought I had it here. Now onto this fight, and I don't look at this one as favorably as I did the last one. The ancient dragons look badass, and they're a huge spectacle, but honestly, I find them really tedious to fight. They're hard to stagger, their neck is so small, their head is tiny. I literally chucked rocks at this thing as quick as I could for nearly 5 minutes, and it didn't stagger. Fighting it with the beast claws just makes you look like you're giving it a pedicure. And put it in a pool of water. Thanks a lot from, at least we can use torrent here.
Nope.
This clip always reminds me of this meme.
Nope.
First you get an undershot of the Ra, I think it's pronounced Ra, just Ra ruins from the bottom, and man, they're massive. And if you're able to find it, you can even get an early teaser of what it's like to actually be up there, and man, is it breathtaking. As many probably know, the golden hippopotamus is notoriously hated amongst the community, and after fighting him multiple times with different characters, I'm tending to agree, but honestly my first fight with it was one of the most epic in my first playthrough. I just went full beast mode with multi-hit talismans and regen on hit. This was before the bite attack nerf, and damn was that needed. Oh, come on, game, you give it to me that time? This is one of the best endings to a boss fight I've ever seen. It's the strongest enemy in Elden Ring, a bench. Some moments can be a fail and a win at the same time. Now Gaius is an interesting one. I sort of see him as a tree sentinel on steroids. Depending on how you look at it, Gaius can either be a fun or a tedious fight. Similar to the basic dragons, I find the formula they use is just good in general, and as long as variants really change it up, it's just a solid formula. I really enjoy fighting the tree sentinels, so any boss that is a different take on that style of fight is good in my books. There are just so many ways to approach the fights. They're so big you can duck under a lot of attacks, or you can even choose to fight them entirely on horseback if you really want. I just really don't think he deserves to be a remembrance. I really enjoyed fighting this boss on my guard counter mage. Just such a fun fight with guard counters. This is the only attack that I don't know how to deal with without blocking. Oh my god, that health. Oh, got the deflect and the double.
That's a lot of damage.
Finish him.
Next, onto one of my favorite bosses from the DLC, the Erdtree avatar. Something immediately feels off as you do a ton of damage, especially to the head. I wasn't using any spells at all at first, I was just trying to rush it down. But after a while I started realizing that the occasional Flame of Frenzy or Stone of Garank was the play. Dodging this with Raging Beast looks so cool. At first I focused on the stem, but then I realized that focusing on the head would be much better as the attacks it uses are much easier to dodge. Before I knew about the gimmick to this fight, I was using my physic right at the beginning to do as much burst damage as I could. As I learned the fight, however, I realized it was best to save it till the end. Almost got it, just gotta whittle down the last of the health here. Okay, get some extra hits to regen some HP. But phase 2 is where the real fight starts. He really messed me up here because usually he starts phase 2 with the dash attack. This attack is also so much easier to dodge for some reason in phase 2. I do so much damage when I do hit him that I don't mind healing him with the Warming Stone. Using Raging Beast to get out, then get right back in. You actually do have time between the dashes to hit the head with rocks, but I messed it up here. Just stay alive a bit longer, throw some more rocks, hit the head a couple times, I've got this.
You're going to love this. Trust me, what you're seeing now is my normal state. This is a Super Saiyan. And this is what is known as a Super Saiyan that has ascended past a Super Saiyan. Or, you could just call this a Super Saiyan 2. And this is to go even further beyond!
No, stop it, Goku! If you do this now, it's going to drain away all the time you have left on Earth! And I'd say you need every second of it as it is!
I'm sorry that took so much longer than the others, but I haven't had much occasion to practice this one.
Despite doing fire damage, my beast character still had a hard time with the sunflower, so by the time I had defeated it, I had learned the moveset so well. When I rolled up to him on my second character, who was the same level and blessing level, I just one-tapped him. Maybe he's weak to magic, maybe guard counters and the deflect tier are just too good, who knows. I still really like the fight though. I love how the music changes through the phases. I love how the phases have different movesets. It just feels like he's getting more desperate and aggressive. It's really cool. My plan with him this time around was just to get frostbite on him with the claws and then go for the head with the greatsword and do tons of damage. Okay, there we go. Got the frostbite, now some big damage. Law of causality is kind of useless here anyway. Save the physic for phase 2 so I know I've got the deflect here. At this point, I didn't know how long it lasted. I assumed it was the standard 3 minutes. I'm just throwing stuff out here. I don't really understand how these spells work. I only just got them at this point. I just sped this section up because it's a bit sloppy, but I do get through it. I love how sad the song gets in the third phase.
Very good.
Oh, come on, game, you give it to me that time? Finally, after all this time, you arrive at the ancient ruins of Ra, and it's absolutely breathtaking. Ra is like an open world legacy dungeon, big enough for Torrent to run around in. You can even see where you came from on the side here, and it really puts into perspective how massive the Shadow Keep actually is. And similarly to the pillar, this view also gives you a really good perspective of how far you've come.
Hello, me. It's me again.
Another mirror match, eh? Well, it's time to see who's the real one. Although it may just be seen as a reused asset, I do think the boss is one of the coolest in the DLC design-wise. Even soundtrack, it's really cool. And this one is different enough, again, to shake up the formula and really keep it fresh. The main reason I'm including this version of the fight instead of the Bellarat one is because I had the Beast Claws by this point and also fighting it with the helmet. I wanted to save this boss to talk about until now for this very reason.
meet the real me.
It's definitely an interesting use of Death Blight, and it makes the second phase kind of easier in a way because you don't have to deal with the breath attacks in terms of them having knockback. As long as you can mitigate the Death Blight buildup, it doesn't really matter. It makes no sense to me that they reintroduce Death Blight in so many different ways, but they don't give us a purchasable bolus, or even a way to make them easily. I actually didn't know at this point he still had his original Phase 2s. I thought the Death Blight was the Phase 2.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Where am I? This is already so creepy. Whoa, what was that? The spectral steed is frightened and cannot be summoned. Yeah, I think I'm good for now. Once you have finally completed the raw ruins and revealed the Shadow Tower, it's time to face Mikola. My first time fighting Leda and her allies, I didn't really enjoy it that much, but now that I've done it multiple times, I really do appreciate it because there's a lot of variance in how that battle can come about. On my first attempt, she had everybody I'm pretty sure she can have. I think it was 4 or 5 people, but I believe it can go as low as just her and Dane, depending on which quests you do and how you approach each one. Enough about that though, it's time to talk about our main man, Mikola. Let's be real here for a sec and at least say that this fight is epic as hell and fulfills one of the fanbase's biggest desires, Radahn in his prime. The concept is cool as hell, I just think that they didn't quite stick the landing with this one. This had so much opportunity to be a better Lothric Lorien fight, but Phase 2 just feels like a more annoying version of Phase 1. Hey, it's me again, but with lasers. The fight is good, but not great. I could have really used some voices here during the combat. So is it good? Well, the short answer is yes. It is very good. The amount of content here is crazy. This is Elden Ring 1.5. I like to think of it as we put Dark Souls in your Elden Ring so you could Dark Souls while you Elden Ring. Anything I didn't talk about in the video is just because I wanted to leave some mystery for those of you who may not have played it yet. My main concern going into the future is how much support the game will get in terms of PvP and updates. You may be wondering, why hasn't he talked much about the Shadow Keep? Shadow Keep in its entirety is like the best of the Grand Archives meets the Research Hall meets New Londo Ruins. It's amazing and is by far my favorite invasion spot in the entire game. I plan on making a video about that area. Thank you sincerely for anyone who has stuck with me until this point. Hopefully, as I get better at editing, these videos will become of higher quality. Give me a like if you enjoyed, and if you want to see more content, I'll be making some soon, so drop me a sub if that's the case. And don't you dare go hollow.